Welcome to the Financial Power Play, the podcast where hockey meets real life money talk. I'm Brett from Uptown Wealth Management, here to help hockey families and professionals create a financial game plan that works on and off the ice. From the rink to retirement, this is your go-to for real stories, smart strategies, and trusted advice. Let's drop the puck and dive in. Hi, welcome to the Financial Power Play. I'm Brett Cranson, and I'm here today with Rachel McQuigge, ex-professional hockey player, now retired, and now going to law school, and she can become this big-time lawyer. And so let's welcome her to the podcast today. Rachel, how's it going today?
I'm good. Thanks for the introduction, Brett.
So what I want to talk to you is just want to start off with your hockey journey. So how did you get involved in hockey? How did you start falling in love with it?
My dad was always watching hockey on the TV, but my sisters and I were actually into dance and gymnastics. But my parents would take us public skating every Mondays on their day off from work, and it was just a lot of fun. I ended up asking to try hockey. About halfway through that season, I tried goalie, and I could do the splits and no one could raise the puck. So it was actually like pretty fun for me because I was decent, and yeah, I never looked back. I was a goalie for from then on for my entire career. So
Yeah, that's great. And then you ended up becoming probably a pretty good goalie because you ended up getting a D1 scholarship to Princeton. So tell me about that. How was the recruiting process? How'd that go through? Like, was it your last year of playing, I guess, minor hockey? Did you get a lot of offers? Was Princeton like the only one that came to you? How did that all come about?
yeah, since I was the oldest of the three of us, my parents were kind of learning the process at the same time I was. Like, we were just kind of hearing of opportunities as they came up, and so I think it used to be called like Bantam, no, Pee Wee. We heard about junior hockey, and so that became my goal. It was the former PWHL at the time, Provincial Women's Hockey League, and then in Bantam and Midget at the time it was called, which I think is like U15, U18. Um, we heard about college opportunities, scholarships, and things like that. And I liked school, and there wasn't pro women's hockey at the time, and so that was just like the next goal. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make junior, and then I'm gonna play college hockey. And I think it was like my grade 8 yearbook. My goal was to get a D1 hockey scholarship, and then going into grade 10, I believe, the recruiting really started after provincials and some summer hockey tournaments. Um, a handful of schools were kind of reaching out, a bit interested. And goalie's a bit unique in that you only have three, maybe four spots on a team. And so it really depends on like your recruiting year. And Princeton was one of the first ones to reach out. Kara Mori, I remember. She's currently the GM of Vancouver, the expansion team in the new PWHL, and she was really kind. My parents really liked her. Um, UConn, University of Connecticut, was another school I was really interested in, and so I visited those two and a few others on a loop the summer before grade 10. I fell in love with Princeton, and I just loved the coaching staff at UConn as well. Um, and as recruiting grows, like it got kind of quiet for a little bit. I was going through some injuries and things, um, and I kind of lost touch with Princeton for a little while and was heavily pursuing UConn, but they ended up choosing to go with another goalie. I was really sad at the time. It was like my first heartbreak. And then about a month or so after that, I got a call out of the blue from Princeton's head coach at the time, Chuck Campersol, and he asked me if I would be willing to take a gap year, which means you take a break in between high school and university. You take a year off. Um, and I said yes right away. And then I was like, wait, maybe I should ask my mom first. And they were actually on vacation at the time. I think Punta Cana, maybe. And I called them and they said yes, of course. Like, my parents were always like, yes, we'll figure it out. They wanted us to take any opportunity we had. And so that's how I ended up at Princeton. So It was, I think I'm just very lucky, and I think there's a lot of hard work that goes into it, but I was also like very lucky, and my parents instilled in us that you take the opportunity that's in front of you and you make the most of it. And I think the combination of that really allowed us some really amazing experiences.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you were looking between UConn and Princeton, were you looking at not just the hockey program, but also the school? Or were you more concerned about the hockey program and how much you're going to play at that school and then just look at the program afterwards?
For me personally, I was more focused on like what my experience at the school was going to be like. The campus of Princeton was absolutely incredible. It's your old Gothic architecture, classic Ivy, and UConn is this brand new, state-of-the-art athletic facilities. And so they're complete opposite on like types of schools, but they're both just incredible in their own way. And so I really appreciated both of those. So I like it doesn't make sense necessarily why those two were my favorite, but I think it was a combination of the school environment, the hockey, but also feeling like the coaching staffs were also invested in me as a player as well. That doesn't necessarily mean I thought I was going to play a ton. I actually didn't think I would play much at all, but like the coaching staffs at both schools were phenomenal humans, and my family felt very comfortable with them. So I don't think it could have gone wrong either way, and it worked out how I think it was meant to. I'm very happy with where I ended up. So
That's awesome. Yeah. And before we just move on from that, because my son has a whole bunch of friends right now that are going through the process. A lot of some of the girls he goes to school with and that he works out with are going through the NCAA process. And I just thought it'd be great maybe for you to just sort of touch on, because they're going to listen to this and have a few points to know that they're having a few
yeah. Um, Personally, and I think the bias is obvious because I'm still in school now. I think an education allows you the freedom, um, well, allows you freedom in your hockey career in the sense that like you're able to gather a bigger set of skills. And so if you ever run into injury problems, playing time problems, anything like that, your entire skill set and identity isn't only built on hockey. I think it allows you some security in who you are as a person that allows you to excel on the ice. So I would say never be afraid to prioritize your academics. It also, in the recruiting space, makes you more competitive. You'll be looking at a bigger subset of schools if your academics are stronger and you're willing to take on a bit more of an academic challenge. You won't be just looking at, um, say, like a set of 80% of the schools in the US. You'll have access to 100% of the schools if your grades are good enough and strong enough and you're looking for that opportunity. Like if your test scores are higher, you're working against a smaller group of players, and so you're more competitive, if that makes sense. I'm not a math girl, but that's how it was explained to me, especially as a goalie, that gives you an edge. So number one is don't be afraid to prioritize your academics. Um, and two is make sure you will be happy as a person. Like you like the players, you like the culture on the team, you like the coaches, you like the campus. Like you can see yourself as a person going to that school and being happy there, regardless of how playing time or injury works out, because it's a long 4 years and it's hard, and you're going to want to feel comfortable and at home there. And I think that's a gut feeling. So, number three is like cheesy, and everyone will tell you this, but when you know, and you'll probably get a gut feeling when you're in the right place. So go see it in person, talk to people, ask questions, ask people who've attended the school, thought about attending the school. Um, just trust your gut and do your research. You'll know when it's right. So I hope those were three good pieces of advice.
That's great advice for someone looking to move from the minor hockey ranks to to the NCAA, especially when they're getting heavily recruited by a lot of different schools. It sometimes is a little overwhelming for some people.
I think even this advice is still true now because in the job search, like you feel like you don't have a lot of power in it. You know, you're talking to these big institutions with a lot of money and a lot of time and resources, and they see a lot of people, and it's easy to think like they're doing you a favor in this, but you're also a talent that they're looking to acquire. Like you're an asset. And so just don't be afraid to take your time and be critical and ask questions and remember that you're doing that school a favor as much as they're doing you a favor by giving you an education. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So now moving on from the NCAA, you then became a professional hockey player in the PHF that's now moved into the PWHL, and you played in both leagues. Mm-hmm. How was that transition? Like, where did you make that decision going from NCAA, getting your 4-year degree, and then deciding to maybe play professional hockey at first before, you know, starting a career somewhere else?
Yeah, I didn't know professional hockey was an opportunity for me. It's one of the reasons why I love Princeton. I thought if the most I can get out of my hockey career is a degree, I might as well try to get the best possible. And while I was at school, COVID happened. So I unenrolled for what would have been my last year during COVID because the Ivy League canceled the season. And then I re-enrolled for my final year. And I had the most fun playing. I was the starter. I played most of the games. We had a really great season, a lot of good memories, and I wasn't ready for my hockey career to be over, and I wasn't ready to get a real job and move on in another capacity. So I was looking in Sweden, and I almost went a really phenomenal program called Modo. Brooke, my younger sister, actually ended up playing there for a little bit before she joined Minnesota last year, and but an opportunity came up to play for the Metropolitan Riveters. They played down in New Jersey, and a lot of my friends were moving to New York, and so that was just really hard to pass up. I was actually sitting at graduation when the offer came through on my phone. They call it class day, and yeah, it was just really hard to pass up. So I played a year there, and I actually ended up having knee surgery that season, and so I wasn't ready for hockey to be over again. I didn't want my last season to be one where I was out for most of it, like recovering from surgery. And so I signed for another year. And then I don't know if this is going to be your next question, but that contract disappeared one night without notice when the PW acquired the PHF. And yeah, I wanted to keep playing. I wasn't ready to move on yet. So
Yeah, so then you went to the PWHL, played there for a season, and then now you are in law school,
yes.
University of Ottawa. So tell me more about that transition, like from playing professional hockey, sort of making that decision to retire. I guess you've officially retired from playing. You haven't played in the last couple of years. To now to deciding to go to school and continue your education.
Yeah. Law school was always in the back of my mind, and I've said a few times I think everything happens for a reason. So during my gap year before Princeton, I shadowed a lawyer, um, Elizabeth McCarthy. She was the parent of one of my sister's teammates. She's very kind. She's now a judge. She worked at the office of the children's lawyer, and that's what like initially got me interested in being a lawyer. She's super kind. She spoke about how the justice system works, and it kind of that started the ball rolling on it in the back of my mind, but it wasn't my priority at the time. And then COVID happened. When I unenrolled, I ended up taking the LSAT that year. I thought if I have a year to do nothing, I might as well be productive. The LSAT is the entrance exam for law school, and that's good for 5 years. So I figured I would take it then, and it would give me a 5-year runway to kind of make my decision, figure out if I wanted to start a different career, keep playing hockey, or go to law school. And I was really happy playing hockey, and I was actually working in tech startups too, so I wasn't planning on applying anytime soon. But then when the PHF was acquired and that contract was ripped up, I decided some job, some career security, and some financial security was probably a smart move, a smart life decision. And so I while I still wanted to keep playing, I applied to law school at the same time. I was actually in training camp, I think, for Ottawa, trying to make that team when I applied to law school. And then I was just kind of waiting to hear back. And I wasn't entirely sure I was going to retire after that first year in the PW until close to the end of that summer. I ended up getting concussed that first year, that inaugural season of the PW. And so it just, I had knee surgery the year before. It was my second one, and I got concussed my last year. And I love playing, and I love being on a team, and I love competing. But I could just see that it was maybe time for me to move on. The concussion was really hard to recover from, and like I mentioned at the beginning, I do really value academics, and I kind of missed using my brain in that way. And I think getting concussed at that time sort of showed me where my priorities were maybe shifting when it comes to my future. And so I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to move on, and find a lot of fulfillment in moving on quickly. Um, yeah, I think that's my best explanation of how it all happened. But it was obviously a very personal decision for anyone when they're ending their hockey career. But it was nice. I think in the background I was setting myself up for success. As talking about financial planning, I think the career planning was happening in the background, which I'm grateful I kept in the back of my mind.
Yeah, that's great. So let's change gears a little bit and talk a little about some financial stuff, because going through all this hockey and then transitioning to maybe a new career now,
Hmm.
there's probably some financial challenges and that kind of stuff. I also know that we've had lots of talks before this that you have two other sisters that also have played hockey at a high level. All you guys went to NCAA, got all one D1 scholarships, which is great. But to play at that high level of hockey, there's a lot of costs involved in that as well. So, what I know you've talked to me about like your parents and how they worked through everything to make sure you guys all had what you needed.
Hmm.
So, why don't you talk a little bit about like some financial challenges or how they were able to get all three of you guys, like you and your two sisters, through minor hockey, and getting those D1 scholarships was probably huge. But the minor hockey still is probably a lot of cost because a lot of travel, especially in those years when girls hockey wasn't as big as it is now. There's
Hmm.
probably a lot of travel involved. So how did your parents feel like get through all that kind of stuff, if you know any of that?
Yeah, I don't want to speak too much for them, but they worked a lot, and we had some really great teammates, and my grandparents were always around to help us with travel financially. And I think they were just taking it as it came, and since they do work so hard and they instilled that work ethic in us, I think they led by example, and they didn't want us to have to say no to anything. And so we didn't know at the time that it takes so many resources to make it happen. And they made it work, but it is expensive. And the three of us were on three different teams, and to play on the highest travel team in your area, it costs a lot of money, like you said. And so I don't know exactly how they made it work, but they did. And I think we did look out um with the scholarships at the end. I think it um lessened some of the financial burden on my parents, because it would have been a lot to put the three of us through an undergraduate degree after paying for so much minor hockey. Princeton actually doesn't do financial or athletic scholarships, it's financial aid grants. The school takes into account how much your parents are making and then provides a grant based on the need. And mine ended up costing about the same as it would have to attend a Canadian university, just based on how that calculation worked out. Um, and I think that was stressful. But again, my parents, like, they were never going to tell us no. They want us to achieve anything we set our minds to. And so they were incredibly supportive. And if that comes to like student loans or whatever it is, like that's what you do. You just get it done. And so I have some financial loans, or sorry, a little bit of student debt left over from Princeton, and obviously law school, that's my financial burden, no longer my parents. And so that's more student debt. Again, calculated, like it's for a purpose, but it's definitely different. And my sisters were able to benefit from, I believe, full scholarships from Clarkson, and that's obviously incredibly nice. um, Including like books and things, and your living costs and your food. I think um, a full scholarship treats you pretty nicely, but it is also like very fortunate to come across.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's good that your parents worked hard to get all three of you to where you are, and now you're all three of you are getting there successfully. As I know your two other sisters as well. And so when you were, let's talk about your own personal financial challenges and stuff. So when you finished school and then started playing professional hockey, I know at the beginning salaries were not a lot. They did cover some expenses when you played. So what kind of challenge did you have when you were playing hockey? Did you have to work another job? Did you just put money away? I know we've saved some money for you, but tell me about like how that was, maybe some financial challenges when you were playing professional.
I think a unique challenge is that during college, you don't necessarily see all your expenses. They're like kind of baked into your tuition statement. And then you're released into the world, and suddenly you have a rent payment, a Wi-Fi, all the bills, just all the bills. And so it's kind of hard to like budget and things. And so I think we got connected pretty early, and you were incredibly helpful for that, just giving me high level, like, this is how money works, when you're an adult. But I did work a second job to help ease that transition. So it was a lot. Like, I didn't just get to focus on my hockey career. I was also working full time at the same time, remote, which is great, but it's just a lot of hours. Um, and I think it's just challenging to save at the same time when you're living that lifestyle, because you're moving so much as well. You're paying a bit more in rent because you're not there for the full year. You might be buying furniture or renting furniture, travel back and forth to home, expenses for storage. And so it's just a unique lifestyle that comes with some expenses that you wouldn't normally expect with a traditional 9 to 5. But yeah, I think we definitely put some money aside, which helped going into school. But that's still just like a new beast when it comes to financial planning. So I'm definitely learning on the fly, but I appreciate that I have your support while I do that.
Yeah, it's good that I'm able to help you go through this process. And now that you're also now that's great that you're able to get through the professional hockey and get into school and be able to pay for law school now for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And then also, so through law school, now that you're at school, I know you just finished your articling through the summer. So I believe that you get paid for that as well. So how, was that a little bit of an ease to, for your school, pay for your school, to have some extra money through the summer that you were able to make?
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely similar to hockey in the sense where a lot of your expenses go to just like allowing you to live in a new place for a short stint, but it definitely relieves a little bit of the burden throughout the year. It's funny because you work all summer, but when you work for 3 months and then you're in school for 9, I don't think that math works out, but um, it's you're just working to relieve the financial burden while you're studying. You can get a job and things, but it's kind of hard when law school is such a time commitment to make enough money to like not have to rely on student debt at all. I think you have to, you're, if you're able to do that, you're in an incredibly fortunate position. So it's good, but it's nice to also see like long term law has such like a set, or it can have such like a set career trajectory where your potential income can be pretty steady and reliable, that you can plan. It's different than playing professional women's hockey in that you can kind of see where um your future income and financial planning will land in a few years. And I think that's really exciting for me after living a very different lifestyle for a few years. It feels nice as I'm getting older. Yeah, yeah.
That's good. So, and then let's just talk about like your future plan. So, I know you're in law school now. So, what's your future plan like when you're done school? What's the career path there, and then do you plan on maybe getting back into hockey after you're done law school and you get like a full-time job as a lawyer? Do you plan on maybe coaching, helping out at skill sessions? I know we've discussed about you doing some stuff now while you're in school. So what's like your kind of future plans for that, like next 5 years or so, where you think you're going to go?
I really enjoyed my summer. It's business law, sometimes mergers and acquisitions, sometimes real estate law. That was really fun, and I liked the learning environment at the firm, and so I could see myself doing that over the next 5 years while I'm in school, and then after, I would I would be grateful for that opportunity. And I do love staying connected with hockey. All of my loved ones are still involved in hockey in varying capacities, and so I'm fortunate to enjoy it as a fan. And then the Ottawa community, the hockey community, is really small and really welcoming. I felt that as soon as I moved here for hockey, and I felt that since retiring from hockey as a player. I was able to be a goalie coach for two youth teams with the Ottawa 67s, the girls program, and that was really nice. And it's really awesome to see the love of the game in people who are young. I think it was U13s was the main team that I was working with, and they love hockey. They love stopping pucks, and so it's really fun to see that after you retire and after you've done it as a job, to just see that like pure love of the game and like learning and growth at that age. It was really great. So I could see myself staying involved that way. I also just love playing more of a mentor role for athletes, whether it's like coaching or talking through recruiting and stuff like that. I love being a resource because when I was younger, I would have loved to talk to somebody who had the opportunities like I've been fortunate enough to have. And so I always try to make myself available, and I really value time I get to spend speaking with younger athletes who might be looking for advice on how to navigate that. Mhm.
That's awesome. So yeah, that'd be great. Like I think there's, like I said, when we are talking about the NCAA stuff, that I know there's a lot of girls out there, because I just see more of them now with the way my son works out, and he has a lot of the girls are working out with him, especially this summer. He's seeing a lot, and then he's at a special sports school as well, where there's a bunch of girls playing, junior, U22 women's hockey, or even U18 women's hockey, that they're all starting to get some offers and stuff for NCAA. So it's great that that you can be a resource for them, as well as there's a lot of confusion, a lot of especially when you're highly recruited. It's hard to decide kind of where the best place to go is. So it's great to have like a resource.
Mhm. Yeah, feel free to give them my number if they have any questions.
Where she is, she's right now. Actually, the girl I'm thinking about is she made the U18 Team Canada team, so she's right now playing for them. So she's kind of been gone for the last couple weeks, because she went to the camp and then she made the team. So then they just started, I guess, right away they start playing. I don't know when I think the tournament's coming up soon. So she's gone for a while, and school started already. And she's not at, so she's missing a few weeks of school. So yeah, the sports school starts early, so she's missing a few.
Yeah, I guess the sports school has to understand that. That's awesome.
Back, maybe she'll have a better outlook on what her plan is. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for her.
yeah, she's a really good player. So
Yeah,
and there's a few other girls I know that didn't get that opportunity, but they're still getting some NCAA scholarships. So just not as many as her. She's got a lot of offers. So
that's amazing.
so let's just finish this off with what I guess actually a couple of quick questions. So what's your best money tip you've ever gotten?
Make saving a habit and be consistent about it, even if it's a little bit. I think I think that's a really good piece of advice, and I wish I had like been more diligent about implementing it earlier, because I've been working forever, but it's just hard when you don't have financial literacy to like know what to do with the little bit of income you have. So I guess a better tip is start learning early.
I think saving early also is a great tip, and I find that with a lot of the hockey players that I'm, working with, or hockey families. A lot of them are just trying to get through it day to day to pay for their kids' hockey, or some of the, especially like the women who I'm working with, a lot of them, this is their first time making some real money, and they're not sure where to turn or where to go with it because they haven't never gotten that support before. So I think like there's a lot of opportunity for them, but they got to understand that I think now you're earning money is to start saving it early. So I think that's a great tip. What's one of your biggest financial mistakes or regrets that you made, well, maybe during your playing days or through your life now?
Um, Buying furniture, buying furniture new, um, or not having roommates. I love having a one bedroom, but I think roommates are really great, especially when you don't necessarily know how long you're living in a place. Because rent eats up your income fast, especially some of the markets that you might end up playing in.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Yeah, to get a roommate is great, especially when you're playing hockey. Is a good opportunity to sort of split the income, split the money, split the rent, save some money there, as well as like trying to find some used furniture or secondhand furniture, because that's you never know when you're in a place for too long either. You might be there for a year and move somewhere else. So
Like we have this storage unit in New Jersey, and it was really hard to get back down there and get like it was just like it's a logistic nightmare sometimes.
yeah. And then let's just end with what's one piece of advice you would give to like a young player or maybe parents that are in the system right now coming up?
For parents, I would say like don't be afraid to ask for help, like get connected with somebody like Brett early. I think when you want to give your kids everything, and that's amazing, like the opportunities you can provide your kids, but I know my parents, like, they have started financial planning differently now since we've gotten older, and they always say they wish they had started earlier. Like, when they see that we're trying to learn and we're working with you, like, they're really excited for us because they wish they had known that that was a possibility when we were young and when they were young. Um, it can make a world of a difference.
That's great advice. All right. Well, thanks for coming on today. This was really good, really informative. I think a lot of parents and young girls playing hockey are going to really, hopefully, get some advice from this and learn some things that you had to say. And so thanks a lot for coming on today.
Of course, and people feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to hop on a call always.
Thanks for tuning in to the Financial Power Play. If this episode sparked something for you, be sure to subscribe, share it with your hockey crew, and leave a review. Want to talk about building your own financial playbook? Visit uptownwealthmanagement.com to book a free consultation. Until next time, stay focused, stay flexible, and keep playing your game.